1. I work for a luxury dealership. About 2 years ago, I was working for the same manufacturer I am now, just a different location. There was an older salesperson there, and boy was she cutthroat. Her name was Sela. One day I had a customer come in, and he wanted to buy one of our specialty cars. I tell him we don't discount specialty cars, they are MSRP only. This is pre-pandemic and the beginning of the pandemic, so most people still expected discounts. To my surprise, he didn't have an issue with it. Now, I was just starting out in sales, so I was quite excited as this would be my biggest commission yet. I hadn't made much prior to this and was still getting the hang of everything. At one point in the deal, the customer stated he had just moved to the US and didn't have insurance. I told him that's fine. We just need him to secure an insurance policy before he can leave the lot with the car. I gave him the number to an insurance company and the information he would need, and we went to go start on paperwork. A few minutes later, I see Sela sitting with my customer at her desk, calling insurance with him. Apparently, he needed some help, and she decided to swoop in and help him instead of letting me know and having me help him. She said she was just helping me out and wouldn't split the deal. Great. All she did was answer one question for him and the insurance company anyway. Certainly not enough work to warrant half of my deal. I had spent 2 hours with the guy. He buys the car and I'm thrilled. As we leave the store that evening, she runs up to me and says, "How much did the deal make?" I thought it was odd, but didn't think much of it and said I wasn't sure yet. I hadn't asked my finance manager. Payday comes. I notice I have a split deal on my pay sheet with her. Funny, I don't remember working a deal with you. I go into my boss and say there's a mistake. He said Sela told him I agreed to split the deal since she helped with the insurance. I told him that wasn't the case. He calls her into his office and I explained to her that she in fact told me she wouldn't be taking half of the deal. She proceeded to yell at me, saying I was a liar, and that I told her I would give her half my commission for the help. After a lot of back and forth, I thought I had won. Because my boss mentioned that he did think it was odd I would give up my biggest sale to date for 5 minutes of help. Nope, she got half. I fought this with management and they took her side. Still don't know why. My guess is just that she had been there for a long time. Fast forward a year later. I had to move for personal reasons and was told to divvy up my clients among the other salespeople. I gave Sela all the clients I had thought that were tough to deal with and knew they weren't serious about purchasing and would waste her time. Every other client went to my favorite coworker. It wasn't just because of the half-deal incident. Everyone at the dealership was fed up with her because she would pull all sorts of BS constantly. I guess it was mild revenge, but it felt good. 2. I'm working for a pretty big company, lots of departments, lots of we're the best talk and we really care. Core values are followed pretty well and major issues get dealt with quite well. Apart from my boss, Gail. She's a micromanager to say the least, and a workaholic who expected you to do a lot but never outside of your normal shift, since she thought OT was the devil for us hourly workers. The first malicious compliance was Gail tasking me with this monthly report to hand up the chain to Mandy, who was a pretty big deal. The report was intensive and very in-depth, so it took a lot of unpaid OT to learn and get it down. Gail did not appreciate it and questioned what I was doing as to why it was taking so long, as learning something out of my scope was not too appropriate. Myself and Mandy got to know each other well and developed a great working relationship, which certainly benefited me as much as it could. We were generations and countries apart, no romantics. Gail found out Mandy was asking me questions about my sites, and for some reason didn't take too kindly, and informed me that any and all communication from myself to Mandy must go through her. Gail, including this report. Thankfully, Gail has a company-wide reputation for being a bit cray-cray, so I could hear Mandy roll her eyes on the phone the first time she sent her the report rather than I. I had told Mandy that Gail knew very little about this report, especially the most important part. The 2 specific questions would likely have her forward those questions to me to answer. So of course those two very specific questions were brought, but not by email, but rather on a big call of bigwigs, just as I happened to step out of the office and was unable to field quick questions from Gail over the computer, and the feedback was nothing but a roasting for Gail, as she had of course said the report was hers initially, and thus the report was taken away from her, and I altogether. This upset her, so she hammered back why I didn't do the work while I was learning this report. 6+ months had passed, and I had it down to an absolute science that took no time updating, and asked me to begin logging everything I do every day. Due to other factors in this job, HR was already looped in on everything that was going on between Gail and I, so this was as well. As you can already guess, long story short is this log was filled out to the minute after every task, phone call, or anything I did, including time for filling out the log. The amount of detail I put into this log, Gail wanted as much detail as possible, allowed for me to actually spend 2 or 3 minutes filling out this log for even the smallest task, of a passerby at my office door asking me a quick yes or no question. I loved it. This unfortunately didn't allow me to complete all my normal tasks daily, and by the end of the first week I had quite the pile of additional work. Gail, myself, and HR got on a call to discuss all this after the week, and HR obviously sided with me and told Gail to either push work off me to someone else or get rid of this log that showed I was skipping breaks. Good thing I wrote the log. These weekly calls also got myself a separate payment for an estimated but realistic amount of unpaid overtime due to the first paragraph and another project. Good guy HR. Despite HR making my life a lot easier, Gail did not. So I made the decision to switch departments entirely, 0 carryover. Within 2 months of my switch, the entire department was functionalized with a few other departments due to creating better balance of work to employee, changing the job scope of all my former colleagues entirely, and coincidentally rendering Gail's job useless. She was pushed to special projects role for a year, where special projects then magically ended and she was let go. My new manager likes to send emails out of those under him who were promoted. She was able to see 2 of those with my name on it, the second just days before her final one. 3. A bit of backstory. One of my cousins stays at my home sometimes, often 3 or 4 days a week recently. When he gets late after work or has to go in early, as my house is just a 20 or 30 minute commute from his workplace, but like a 2-hour commute to his home. I have a PlayStation 5, which we both play FIFA, Horizon Forbidden West, among other things. I also like the subreddit of the game R Horizon. I don't really post anything there, mostly just commenting on other posts. My last post there was in January. I also have a desktop PC in my room, which he sometimes uses to check his emails. He also has a Reddit account, but he never posts or comments anywhere, and he looks at posts, as he doesn't really read the rules of any subreddit. Story. Well, about this game Forbidden West, we were talking about the main character, Aloy, and I told him that I feel her eyebrows were kind of weird in cutscenes, and she has chubbier cheeks than in the previous game. He also plays the game, and he knows what I'm talking about, and we both agree. I didn't think much of it, and went on about my day. A few days later, it was a Saturday, and he came to my house after work, so he got in late because of some meeting. I had gone to a late-night showing of John Wick 4 with a friend, and I had my phone on silent. I was excited about the movie and had enjoyed it very much. I didn't check my phone until after the movie, and I saw that I have a few Reddit notifications, and the most recent one said, "You have been permanently banned from participating in R Horizon. You can still view and subscribe to R Horizon, but you won't be able to post or comment. Note from moderators, not being a misogynistic dick is part of following rules here." I was shocked as to what might have gotten me banned, as I had not posted anything recently over there, and hurriedly checked my phone and saw a sexist post about the appearance of Aloy, like how she was ugly and has fat cheeks and tips about how to fix it, along with several arguments with other Redditors and comments. I initially thought that my account got hacked or something, and I quickly went home as it was getting late. And what do I find there? You guessed it, my moron cousin browsing Reddit in my account. I don't usually log out as nobody really uses my PC except for me and sometimes my cousin. I asked him if he posted anything using my account, and he literally said, "Oopsie." He wanted to prank me apparently, but had accidentally gone too far. He didn't even apologize. I immediately yelled at him because that got me banned from the subreddit. I was fine anyway, as I don't really make posts over there, and I was allowed to view posts of others. I stopped talking to him after that, apart from the bare minimum, about food and such. Fast forward to 10 days ago. He wanted to move to another country, which had a work-from-home option, and he was doing well in the interviews. It had 3 rounds of interviews apparently. He cleared 2 and was waiting for the final round. I wanted to get back at him, but I didn't get a chance. Anyways, like I've told before, my cousin checks his email and my PC sometimes. Well, guess what? I got lucky, he forgot to log out, so I was curious and opened his Gmail. There was nothing but a few old emails. I was going to log out when I received what else but the email from the 3rd round of the interview. Then I thought about deleting the email and make him miss the interview, but I felt like that was wrong as he was looking forward to it. But then I remembered he never apologized for getting me banned. In the meanwhile, I see the email has been opened. He must have seen it on his phone. Well, I quickly deleted from the inbox and trash in his calendar as well. I realized it was wrong of me to do that, but I was particularly mad that day about something else, and I took it out on him. He must have forgotten about it, and had actually missed the interview as he didn't receive notifications from the calendar on his phone. A few days ago, he received a follow-up email from the company saying that since he had missed the interview, the position has been filled by someone else. He came home later that day and told me he missed his interview and that he remembers seeing the email for the final round but could not find it. He was really sad about it. I just replied, "Oopsie." Took him a while, but he realized that it was me who deleted the email and he got mad, but I never apologized for doing it, and I don't plan to. He has applied for 4 different companies. Only one had work-from-home options, others didn't. I did delete that reminder, but quite frankly, he could have and should have put it on his phone. He had gotten used to working from home last year and just didn't like traveling to the office and back, and now he still has to go to the office for the other companies. They do pay more than his current company, so no real losses there. And I might have been an asshole here, but I did like that subreddit, and it got me mad by getting me banned. And I should have mentioned this in the backstory. This is in India. We both live with our parents. It is very common here. My dad lets him stay at our house. My cousin and my brother have always been teasing, pulling pranks, etc. since we were little on each other and me. I never really cared, so they stopped with me, but continued with each other. My brother moved to another city a few years ago, and my cousin's been living with us since last year, as I was in another city at the time. I don't have to live in paranoia with him getting revenge on me. He now knows I'd retaliate if he tries to mess with me. Also, thank you to the few people who agree with my point of view. 4. Back in high school, I was all about my car. Don't get me wrong, it was a rolling POS, but it was my car. It had a trade-in value of maybe $5, but it was my car. I was learning how to take care of it, by which I mean I found where the dipstick was and how to pull it. I hadn't yet moved on to tire inflation. One step at a time. One day, after school, I drove over to my friend's place. We jump out, pop the hood, pull the dipstick, check the oil, and it was fine, so put the hood back down. I had no idea what an HOA was nor what it meant. I was just a happy, ignorant teenager eager to demonstrate how responsible I was with my wheels. A few days go by and we're hanging out at my friend's place when his mom comes home. She starts giving us the business in that I'm annoyed but not trying to be voice about a warning she received from the HOA regarding repairing cars in your driveway, complete with a photo of my POS with the hood up. Really, she was being pretty good, though clearly annoyed. We explained that we weren't repairing anything, that I was just checking the oil level and didn't need any tools. Picture just had the hood up. She softened quite a bit, and the focus of her annoyance shifted from us to the HOA, since it's entirely reasonable for anyone to check the level of oil in a car. She finds her copy of the HOA rules, and we all read them together. Sure enough, there is a bylaw that says you can't repair a car in the driveway. I protest that I wasn't repairing anything, I was just checking the oil. Reading the exact rules on exactly what was forbidden has sparked an idea. I looked at my friend, raised an eyebrow, and say, "Fight the power? Fight the power." I proposed my plan to his mom and asked for permission since she's going to have to deal with the fallout. She's on the board, since she thinks this is supremely stupid, and we set in motion. Cue the malicious compliance. Every day after school, my friend and I drove our POS machines to his place, parked in their driveway, raised the hoods, and just looked at the engines. No tools, we weren't even near them. We didn't check the oil, we didn't so much as touch them, nor wipe them down with a rag. All we did was expose them to the birds, the sky, and God above just to let them breathe. After a while I got bored, so I started setting up an easel and drawing my engine 10 minutes at a time. My friend had to one-up me, so decided he needed some tasteful artistic photos with his engine. He judged the best photos would be him laying over the engine shirtless, stroking and fake kissing it. Just absurd over-the-top moronic high schooler stuff. Predictably, the HOA was on us like stink on shit. The warnings quickly turned into fines, complete with pictures of both vehicles with their hoods up. Then more pictures with mine with its hood up and an easel in front. Then even more pictures with my friend's with its hood up. Him laying in the engine compartment and me taking pictures of him with a camera. Soon enough, his mom lets us know it was time for the monthly HOA meeting. Of course, all three of us had to go in person to protest the fines. So the motley pair of us show up along with his mom and his mom's stack of fine notices. I bring along my engine drawing, and we printed some of my friend's engine photos, larger than normal. After a while, it was new business time, and my friend's mom steps up. I'm pretty sure they expected her to play the "my son and his friends are morons, please make these fines go away, since I don't know what they were doing" sympathy card. Nope, not a chance. She politely but firmly attested that she was being sent fines for something that wasn't in the bylaws, and asked the board to stop. One of the board members spoke up, saying that working on cars was against the bylaws, and clearly that's what's been going on since both hoods were up. Oh, you should have seen their faces when she corrected them that the bylaw said no repairs were allowed. That there were no repairs going on in any of the pictures since no tools were visible. And we were just doing art projects for school. Even longer faces were seen when we showed my truthfully completely terrible drawing of my engine, along with the dates stamped a couple of weeks ago pictures. This was back when film cameras stamped a date directly on the picture of my friend trying to seduce his engine. The HOA president called for a 5-minute recess, during which the board huddled in a corner of the room. After the recess, the president succinctly said, "Ma'am, we're going to dismiss all your fines. Have a nice evening." We damn near danced out of that meeting. Being the obnoxious shitheads that my friend and I were, we had to do the drawing and photo routine a few more times, just to make sure they weren't going to start sending more fines. They wisely didn't, and being victorious, we soon found other ways to annoy them. 5. The other day I visited the car wash for a quick morning rinse-off. Everything was going fine until I was mid-suds. All of a sudden I see brake lights and I hit the car in front of me. At first I didn't know what was going on because I had just gone through the bristle brushes, and I could hardly see through the soap. Not even 5 seconds later I got hit from the back. The rollers in the car wash were still trying to lurch my car forward, so it just became a back and forth game. After some beeping, the attendant came over and began asking what happened. But we were all confused. After we got out of the car wash, we spoke to the manager, assuming it was some sort of malfunction. It turns out that the woman in a BMW in front of me decided she didn't need to put her car in neutral, so instead, she drove herself through the automatic car wash. And when I say drove, I mean drove. The manager checked the cameras in her car wash, and her car wasn't even lined up with the rollers on the belt that pushes the car through. She was about 20 inches ahead of the rollers. In the middle of the car wash, the sprayer function started spraying, and her car wasn't even at that point yet. So by the time she got there, she only got half of the soap sprayed on her car. She then stops, apparently waiting around for the rest of the water, and that's when I collide into her vehicle. After the collision, she slowly drives out of the car wash. She was the only car that made it out of the car wash in the beginning, because the rest of us were in neutral and the belt was paused. We originally thought that she drove off because we couldn't find her vehicle. After checking the cameras, the manager found her vacuuming her car. According to her, she was completely surprised because she stated that she was not involved in an accident in the car wash and nothing had gone wrong. She becomes belligerent and yelling ensues. She denied her involvement so fiercely, stating that she didn't have scratches on her car, so she must not have been involved. She still stated this after management showed her the video evidence. She had the gall to admit, "Of course I drove my car through the car wash with my foot on the brake. I didn't want to hit anyone." After we all scratched our heads, the management began to explain to her why those big red signs are there, and what they say, since apparently she couldn't read. We were waiting on the traffic police, but a very annoyed police officer arrived at the scene. You could tell from the moment Officer Evans pulled up that she did not want to be there. Evans took all our statements, including the manager's, and took pictures of all our vehicles to make her police report. There was about 10 minutes of Evans talking with the woman and trying to explain to her that you don't drive through a car wash with your foot on the brake, or you become responsible for anything that happens. She wasn't even listening to the cop. She still tried to argue that she was innocent and not involved. During the exchange, the woman refused to give us her information, let alone her full name. She told us that if we wanted to get her information, we would just have to wait until the police report. I ended up going to Officer Evans and asking her for the woman's information, because it's illegal to withhold information during an accident. The woman then went to take pictures of all of our cars, and the third car involved had a huge dent on the underside of the bumper. When the owner of the car pointed it out to the woman, she said she didn't know if that was there before. And when the owner of the car said that it was not and that it happened in the car wash, she said, "Let's not be dramatic." Her entire demeanor made my skin crawl. I have never wanted to punch a bitch so much in my life. Besides, her attitude was acting aloof in the situation, smiling and overall avoiding conversation with the rest of us. Fast forward to today, when we get the police report, and this bitch of a cop didn't put any of our statements down or information. She did a basic layout of the collision and that was all. So that was obviously no help in the claim process. I got a call from the woman's insurance company, State Farm, and to no surprise she was claiming that it was our fault and that she was not involved in the accident. The State Farm rep actually told me that the story she was telling didn't make sense, nor did it match with the damages. So he asked me to clarify again for the second time what happened, because they were just trying to figure out how to proceed with this. I explained what happened, and he mentioned that it was all making sense now. I brought up the video footage, and he said that she had not mentioned that, but if I could get it sent over to them, it would clear everything up. The car wash place wouldn't send the videos directly to us, but said that if the insurance company reached out to them, he would send it to them. For some reason, I just had an inkling that they would not want to send it for their own purposes and liability issues. I would have definitely gone after them if they had withheld, but it turns out I didn't need them. I decided this morning at 3 a.m. to go out to my car and check my dashcam footage. The day of the accident, I had completely forgot that I had a dashcam. It's relatively new, and I don't get into a lot of accidents. Lo and behold, I have a copy of the incident before and after, with a clear view of her license plate, and her brake light shining on camera. To say I was elated is an understatement. I had gone down a little rabbit hole the night before and found her linked in with all of her job information and her personal phone number, just in case. I wish I could see the look in her face, or hear her voice when her insurance company calls her to tell her that she's at fault. I would actually pay money to hear her response. It really shocked me the length that people will go to lie and get out of something, even when they have hard evidence against them. A part of me wonders if she just thought that her insurance company would side with her, or if she thought that they weren't going to send the video, I also want to ask her why the fuck she's so fucking stupid. Has she never gone through a car wash before? I need answers. So, I guess this isn't exactly PettyRevenge since she knew about the videos since the beginning, but I think she was convinced that she was going to get away with this, especially when she saw the police report. I'm sure that she thought she was golden. Lying to your insurance company and fighting with cops doesn't exactly lead you on the path to justice. It's PettyRevenge for me because now I don't have to wait for the car wash place to actually send it over. Or if they were just bullshitting, deal with that. And it came from me, and there's a part of me that wishes I could just text it to her and say, don't fuck with people with dash cams. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Revenge is Ice Cream, episode 250. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, I would appreciate it if you'd hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Thank you kindly. Right, let's see. Nope, no shoutouts today. Of course, if you would like a shoutout for any reason, for non-commercial reasons, of course, then please do send it along to kingofthecities@gmail.com. That's kingofthecities@gmail.com. Just let me know who it's for and when you'd like it done. I will endeavor to do it as close to that date as possible. However, I do work a week ahead with the videos. So if you want it the day before, it's probably not going to happen the day before. But I'll fit it in as soon as I can. If you do want to contact me for some sort of commercial endeavor, like a sponsorship or such, you can use that same email address. And we can discuss it. Alright, let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, if you were asked to get a tattoo in a visible area of your body, advertising a brand logo, you could eventually get it removed, but you had to keep it there for 1 year, and you were paid the sum of $100,000. Would you do it? And where would be an acceptable but visible place for you? Personally, yes, I'd do it. No shame in saying that I'm a whore. I love money. Num num num. And I'd probably be willing to get it tattooed on my arm, because my arms are usually visible. I generally wear t-shirts. Or maybe my hand. But certainly not anywhere like my forehead or anything like that. And after a year, I'd take some of that sweet, sweet money, got it lasered off. Or maybe I'd get like a black hat tattoo to cover it up. I'm not really a tattoo guy. I don't know much about them. But let me know what you think. Please leave your answer in a comment below. With that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.